Hello and welcome to the Bravo Outsider Podcast. I'm your host, Craig Midwinter, and with me is my co-host, Dylan Ferguson. Dylan, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are my Brujas out there? Doing good?
Doing pretty good. So each week we bring on an outsider who does not follow the Real Housewives. We make them watch the episode and get their takes. And joining us today is comedian Chad Anderson. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Good, yeah. All right, so let's get right into it. Just tell us a bit about yourself and your previous experience with the Real Housewives.
Yeah, okay. I'm a stand-up comedian, live in Winnipeg. I have no experience with the Real Housewives. So this was first time ever watching. Yeah.
Awesome. And did you have any sort of like pre-existing ideas about what the Real Housewives were? Obviously, like it's a cultural phenomenon. So what was your idea of what Real Housewives was going to be?
I thought it was going to be pure trash, to be honest. That's what I was expecting. Just pure trash.
And was it? It's okay to say it was.
That's not necessarily a negative description.
Yeah, I don't know. I was surprised. I was definitely surprised. I liked Miami better than New Jersey, but we could get into that more later. But I was surprised by both of them. New Jersey fit what I was expecting a lot more than Miami did, I feel like.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that would be the case.
Interesting.
Before we get into the highlights on Real Housewives of Miami and Real Housewives of New Jersey, I'm going to start things off with some Bravo news. So this week, Jen Shaw from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City will begin her sentence. She'll be going away for 7.5 years, and she got some tats before she went in. So if you guys were going to prison, what kind of tattoos would you guys get?
I would get like a fake health checkup that says that I'm infected with a bunch of terrible diseases, so that people just stay away from me. I don't know why I would have I guess I'm in a concentration camp or something. I've got my health information tattooed on my skin. I don't know. I've never been to prison.
Being a native person, I would get a swastika tattoo just to confuse everyone. A giant one on my back.
Yeah. Throw everybody off the scent. Yeah.
I'm a bit disappointed that Jen Shaw didn't get like the swastika, or a lot of the housewives that have like the Chanel earrings or some like name brands. It would be awesome to see her like tagged up, get a full sleeve of like Chanel and Louis Vuitton.
Oh yeah.
So next up this week, we had some rumors of shady business practices from Louis, the new husband of Teresa Giudice. And it sounds like things are a pretty similar situation to Jen Shaw. He was running some sort of lead generation business. So it could be another telemarketing scam. We'll see if it's as serious as Jen Shaw's.
Are they still filming the current season
Of New Jersey?
of New Jersey? Yeah.
No, New Jersey's wrapped. So
wrapped,
but they have not shot the reunion yet. So the reunion will typically happen around the midpoint of the season is when they'll bring everyone on once a lot of the mud that has been sort of flung in the confessionals has aired. Then they'll get them when they're at their most heated.
Okay, great. I just want to hear about it. That's all.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be fun.
And further on Bravo premieres, last week we had Vanderpump Rules premiere, and this week Summer House premiered. This is something I am moderately excited about. I would say more excited than Vanderpump Rules, but we'll see what this season brings. I think there are some characters that have maybe overstayed their welcome. Kyle and Amanda specifically. I think now that they're married and things are sort of stabilized, we don't really need to see them on the show anymore.
The kiss of death for reality TV, right?
Yeah,
Not always,
yeah.
but often.
And I mean, they do have a toxic relationship, which can be fun to see play out, but I kind of feel that they might not give us anything of value. We've got Lindsay returning, and her and Carl are deep in a relationship, and Lindsay has been one of the most like crazy energies on Bravo TV in a long time, and so I'm a little disappointed to see her finding some stability here, just for selfish reasons. But you never know what happens in the summer house, so we'll see how that all goes down.
Craig, you don't like when your reality TV stars get their lives together.
I really don't. And
No.
to be honest, like reality TV it's like blood sport, right? You're watching people, they are sacrificing their mental health and like taking jabs at each other and putting their reputations on the line, but it's fun to watch. So there's I would say I don't usually refer to like reality TV as a guilty pleasure, because I think that there's so much to it. There's so many like intriguing storylines that play out over the course of years, and there's so much nuance in the characters. But if there's one thing that
guilty pleasure is just stupid anyways. You shouldn't have guilty pleasures. Unless you're like a pedophile or something. You shouldn't be guilty about your pleasures. Come on.
I mean, that's true. And like, if these people, I don't know, I feel like these are people who want to be famous, and this is pretty much the only way that they'll do it. Right.
They know the deal. They're
Yeah.
in on the score. It's a rough
absolutely.
business. It's a brutal deal. But everybody's consenting. They know what they're signing up for.
Okay, so if you listened to last week's episode, we did a scene-by-scene recap of each of the shows that we were covering. We're going to change things up a little bit as we find our format here. We're going to go through person by person, talk about our highlights from each episode. So to lead things off, I would like to get Chad as the fresh eyes.
Yes.
Start with your highlights for Real Housewives of Miami.
Put them on the spot. Let's go.
Okay. This was okay. I want to say I watched Miami first, and at the end of it, I was like, I kind of want to keep. I'm gonna keep watching this. I think like I might go back and just start from the beginning, because I felt like I wanted to know the storylines. I need to know these people's backstories.
We got a convert over here. You hooked one. Reel him in, Craig.
I think one of my highlights was when half of them went to go down the water slides and then the other half stayed.
Yeah,
and then
that was good.
It was basically the younger ones that went to the water slides and the older ones that stayed, when she called them the Golden Girls, and and she didn't know who the Golden Girls were.
Yes, Larsa Pippen has no idea who the Golden Girls are.
I thought that was fantastic. And
yeah,
then,
that was a really fun moment. A cap off to the trope of a hotel tour is a thing within the Real Housewives franchise. There's always, like, whenever they go on a cast trip, there's always a hotel tour or an accommodations tour. Usually it leads to fighting over the rooms. There was none of that this time, but to cap things off and see them sort of decompressing after is not something that we see all the time, especially going down to the pool. So that was one scene that really like stood out to me as well. I loved the separation of Sex and the City versus the Golden Girls. I thought that was really good, and the way they cut it together was hilarious. You had the girls like screaming as they're going down the water slide, intercut with shots of the Golden Girls eating melons and yawning.
Intercutting the two scenes together was a really good call. A lot of good comedy there. That was fun. Is there something more we could eat? Just kind of like trying to find something to do when they're sitting around. Really good.
Yeah, that I laughed out loud when she said, "Can we order food?" That was great.
Another thing, when they entered the water park, they were introduced to a guy that had the name key Water Park Butler. So they had like
Water Park Butler.
a water park butler that could have been giving them melons and, I guess feeding them grapes off the vine.
I love that they were all called butlers too.
Yeah. So great. Just like picturing a guy wearing like tails and a bow tie up top, but having like swim trunks on the bottom with like flip flops. I feel like that's how a water park butler should be dressed.
Yeah, exactly like a penguin.
Yeah, exactly.
I did, and like right after that scene, I did enjoy, even though it was like kind of gossipy, when the Golden Girls, when it cut to them having like an actual conversation, I did get a sense of like, I'm like, oh, it's kind of, I feel like these women in this group actually care about each other. At least it seemed like they were comforting. What was her name? Lisa. They were comforting Lisa, and I thought that was kind of interesting to see. And they weren't even really gossiping about the other group. It was just kind of like,
they were kind of comforting Lisa and kind of just trying to get her to stop talking about Lenny the whole time too. Like,
yeah,
just stop saying his name. But you're right. This one is kind of sweet in that way, more so than I think other episodes of the series. There was a little bit more of like camaraderie happening in some ways. Adriana has like a strangely heartfelt moment too, where she's talking about like how like men don't internalize their like relationships as much as women do and stuff, and it felt like really like it was coming from the heart. Like there were some moments where they seemed to be like trying to give each other advice and band together.
Yeah, I thought that Adriana like played a really interesting role within this scene as well. She had a line where Lisa starts looking at all the like the families, all the dads with their kids, and she's like, "Oh, look at all these good dads with their kids." And Adriana's like, "Don't be watching families. That's not good for you."
That was I really thought that was that stuck out to me. But what really grabbed me right from the beginning was when it opened with wait, hold on, let me get it. Julia,
yeah.
In the Botanica saying,
"Yes,
we need protection to go to the Bahamas." And
what a great cold open. That was
it was.
They set it up like a horror movie. Just her in the Botanica and in the witch shop, the witch store, I think they call it too. Just like Season of the Witch, like very great stuff with the flash forwards to them like speculating about her throwing curses. Really great stuff.
Yeah, I really like how they whenever they like itemize each of the housewives in some way where they name plus like item, and as she's like describing each of the housewives and getting like some sort of crystal or charm for each one, and it was definitely a really compelling like introduction for sure.
And that was just like really interesting how they had all that stuff about like the spiritual beliefs and the witchcraft in this episode. I was looking into it a little bit, and I actually got the opportunity to do some on-location research, because I'm here in LA right now, as longtime listeners of the show will know in its second episode. Do you guys know like what a botanica is?
No.
Have you heard this term before?
So I hadn't heard it before. I did Google it after.
Yeah, I didn't know. I hadn't heard it.
I'd like heard the term before. I didn't really know too much. So I was looking into it a bit, and I went down this morning and I went to a botanica.
Nice.
To see what it's like, and I was reading the history and stuff, and it's really cool because it's like these places that they probably come from like originally like Cuba or Puerto Rico in the 50s, though some people say they originated in like Spanish Harlem in New York City, but there's a lot of them in LA, in New York, and in Miami, and like the Latino communities, and it's just like a mix of espiritismo and like spiritualism that's like kind of blends together like indigenous beliefs with like some African traditions, like they have Santeria in Cuba, which is like a descendant of like the Yoruba religion they have in West Africa, that with like some Catholic ideas and some like European spiritualism and stuff, just kind of this like this very unique mix of spiritualist beliefs. And it's a place where, they'll have like the novena candles, those like prayer candles that old Mexican women always have, and they have like all these like incenses and little charms and stuff like you see in the episode, and like herb bundles and stuff. But also it's not just like a store, because you'll have somebody there who has certain skills, who will be a person that you can consult, who might be able to do like divinations or like do spiritual cleansings, or just like consult for like counseling and stuff too, because they're kind of like community centers in a way, with like with all that spiritual stuff mixed in. The place that I went to today, there is this woman named Elena who's running the place, who's like an abuelita, like this little tiny grandmother who is like 93 years old, and who is just nice as shit, like really nice. Got some cool herbs that are gonna are gonna give me all the powers of the 7 Potencias Africans. These are like the Yoruba powerful spirits that like come from like West African traditions that have become interwoven in like Caribbean and Latin American traditions. Anyway, just a really fascinating mix of beliefs that all happen in these like places that you find in like very Latino communities. And cool stuff. So I like that was like woven into the episode as part of it. And
and it was done in like a really organic way. Like oftentimes when you see stuff like this in other franchises, it's pretty clear that it's very like superficial and gimmicky, but this this is something that was like taken very seriously by all the girls. It was like often played for gags a bit, but
when they call it the store and stuff.
But it definitely like something that you could tell there was actual like seriously held beliefs around that like persisted within this group.
Especially for Alexia. Alexia took it pretty seriously.
Was that who it was, Alexia?
Yeah, the intense one.
Who was like, as soon as she got her crystal, it cut to her being like, "What are you doing?" I'm not gonna.
I like how she's kind of like accusing Julia. It's not really clear what she's accusing Julia of, and like not necessarily intentionally like causing shit, but like maybe unintentionally, or maybe she doesn't know what she's doing. I mean, Julia is like kind of different from most of the girls because she is
she's an outsider,
and she's Russian, like Gringa, right? As they say in Korea. And so I feel like Alexia is maybe like implying that she doesn't like know enough to like be messing with those things, messing with those forces, and Marisol certainly seems to imply that maybe her COVID is a result of witchcraft, and also the fact that she's gained weight just the result of witchcraft. That was a classic Marisol shit.
That was a highlight.
She's got COVID, she's gaining weight, and her mom's presence is no longer around. All things that should not be happening to her. It's got to be Julia's witchcraft.
Yeah, Marisol's just the best. I mean, I just love the way that she's always like exclaiming delightedly these things that are just obviously fucking not true with a straight face. I mean, granted, her face is probably by necessity always straight at this point, but but it just adds to the delivery. It's just great. Like, they say that she has COVID, so surely she has a negative test, and then at one point she's like, I don't think I have COVID. And
yeah, there was also like a scene during the hotel tour where Julia is using some of the protection herbs and trips like some sort of motion detection on the curtains, and her and Adrian are sure that it's ghosts that are upset.
Right.
It was moving.
She starts moving the curtain and it keeps closing it. She's like, whoa. I just want her to see her like try to get her to a minivan or something. The door keeps opening, and she'll be like, witches everywhere. I look. Going into the supermarket, the door opens on its own. Oh, they're following me.
It was like the curtain was moving, so it was so very clear that it was being moved by a device. Like any other
hear
person,
the motor.
Yeah, any other person would have been like, "Oh, cool, automatic," like, or that's the most polite ghost in the world. Like, it's just like, "Oh, here, let me just gently close these for you."
It's the ghost of a pool butler or a water park butler or whatever he's called.
What else? Oh, the porn search history when Julia was just going, What's a DP? What's a DP? What's a DP?
Like 12 times.
Yeah. So this was another one of my highlights as well. Nicole's game at dinner. I think anytime that a game is played on Housewives, it's always really good because the Housewives never let it an opportunity to, be shady towards each other go by. But this one was mostly just like plain fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And it did cut to some of the other games. So I was kind of expecting that. But Nicole picked out the cards, like she chose them beforehand. And I get the sense that, that she's like the most level-headed one of the group. That's what I got the sense from.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably an accurate assessment. Gertie is pretty like level-headed as well, I would say.
When she doesn't have a gigantic, ridiculous hat like weighing her head to one side, she's level-headed. So rarely.
Yeah.
She loves a ridiculous head.
So since you brought up both the sort of the dark arts of Julia and her charms and this game, I had a little question that I wanted, or a little game I wanted to play with you guys. So I have a list of all of the charms that were passed out at this dinner, and I have matched them with a porn category, and I'm wondering if you guys can guess which category goes with which charm. Okay, so first up we had Larsa and Marisol received a peace charm.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay, so for each charm, you have to identify a associated, like a porn search that could.
There's not a right answer.
No, there's just the answer that I came up with to see if you can get it. It's kind of like a match game or dating game sort of thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna say peace. It was peaceful. That's what it was.
Yeah, peace was what was written on it.
Okay, I want to say blowjob videos.
Okay, explain why.
You weren't expecting to show your work, were you?
No. I guess I just feel like that would be like if you were in that porn, that situation, you as the recipient, you would be pretty at peace.
Okay, that's a reasonable answer. Dylan?
Is there do people search for like husband and wife? I'm trying to think of something that's not chaotic, that's not like disruptive, that's just like a normal, like peaceful, right? Something that's not gonna ruffle somebody's feathers, whether on screen or off. So, like, husband and wife, is that a porn search term?
I'm not sure, but what the answer that I had was softcore, so you were along the right lines there.
Right. Okay.
Next up, Alexia received a happiness charm.
I'm gonna have to go with.
That's got to be DP. That's where it comes in.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to go with blowjob videos again.
Just every time. For this one, I had masturbation, so sort of a self-love type thing is what I was thinking.
Yeah, that makes sense. That could work for peace too.
Yeah. Nicole received herbs for protection.
I'm thinking JOI.
Interestingly enough, Kiki's charm was joy, so that would have been a good fit for that.
Well, but because I'm just thinking she didn't get a thing. She got a do-it-yourself kit, which is basically JOI, jerk off instructions.
I'm going to go back to the old handy blowjob category because it's like you're protecting somebody, you're cradling them in your lap, it's a very protective posture.
Yeah, so for this one, I had babysitter.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah. All right.
Okay, this next one was really hard, so I ended up pulling this one off of Wikipedia, and I'm not sure that you guys are going to get it. But Lisa received one that said faith.
Faith. There's got to be nuns. Nuns. That's a thing.
That's pretty close.
Okay. Priests. Convents. These are all sorts of I'm sure of it. These are all in my history.
Okay, I'll go with priests.
Yeah, so I found this on Wikipedia. It is Mormon pornography is like a.
Is that the thing where they like jump on the bed? You know what I'm talking about?
You know what? I have absolutely no idea what this could mean.
Yeah. All right. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's for the best.
Then we had Gertie receive one that said friends.
Step sibling porn.
Oh man, I don't know. What do you got?
I got gangbang for that.
What is your definition of friendship, man?
I don't know. Just like it was like sort of a group thing.
A group activity. There's lots of participation. Sure.
Okay, finally, Kiki had joy.
We did happiness already. Isn't that kind of the?
Yeah, it's similar. I had a different answer for this.
Okay.
Joy. Let's think here.
Time's up. It's squirting.
It's just about to get there.
All right, Chad, back to your highlights. Did you have anything else notable from this episode?
I think that was it. Yeah, the only other thing that I didn't really say, but you said it was in regards to the witchcraft was the cut to Marisol blaming her weight gain on witchcraft. I thought was hilarious. And I also I would say I feel like I got the sense that Marisol is maybe the one that causes the most drama in the group.
Yeah, what gave you the sense was the final scene where she gets thrown into the group like a live grenade. Just fucking shows up with a bullhorn and is like, hooker! Amazing. Marisol's my favorite for that reason. Just just always shouting nonsense. She's the best.
So Dylan, did you have any highlights that we didn't cover so far?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in general, I feel like compared to the episodes that came before, this feels a little bit more like a palate cleanser kind of reset episode. That they're kind of trying to put the stuff that happened in previous episodes behind them and kind of get along. So kind of nice for that reason, but like a little bit low on the drama. Like even with Alexia going in like our power forward, trying to like stir some shit over like the witchcraft stuff. It doesn't really spark. Like they're mostly just getting along for it, which is why it's great when they toss Marisol into the mix mysteriously. Stay tuned, I guess, to find out why she's back from isolation or whatever, to finally get some sparks flying. So the bookend's amazing. Like the horror movie intro, so good. The stinger at the end, so good. Pretty peaceful in the middle. I guess one thing that really stuck out for me is when they're at this resort in the Bahamas. The one of the activities they showed, which just didn't seem like appealing to me at all, is when they're doing yoga in an enclosure with flamingos. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, that's for me, that's a classic. Like people doing something that's designed for Instagram, but not for the actual experience. Like I get the photos would look cool, but why would you want to do that with a bunch of like big waterfowl, probably ornery that you're in their space, definitely shitting everywhere because that's what birds do. Like, Jesus Christ, like we're all Canadians. We've probably all had some run-ins with like large geese. You don't fuck with those guys. Like I don't know what a flamingo's disposition is like, but it's a large bird. Like, I don't know, for me, the idea of like getting in tights and athleisure wear and getting pushed into a pen with like these large waterfowl sounds not like the ultimate relaxation. It sounds like a gladiatorial contest. Like I would hate that. I would be asking the water park butler, like, do I not get a weapon? Like, can I at least have like a ball of spikes on a chain or something? Like, what? I mean, just gonna go in barehanded because you don't want them to get the first blow in, right? Like, if you know birds, they're tactical fighters. You have to strike first. Yeah. You have to go in hard. You have to start snapping their little legs and
I wonder how hard they could kick. Like, I wonder.
Their legs are pretty spindly, but you never know with birds. They got big beaks.
You never know.
They could. I feel like if they pecked at you, that would hurt for sure.
Yeah,
that long neck. Just shit. They whipped their head at you from their long neck, like.
Yeah. I wouldn't find out. I'd come out there swinging within the first 30 seconds. I'd be going, "Oh, are you not entertained?" Like, just fucking smearing their presumably bubblegum pink blood on my face, just pulling their necks apart like those like New Year's Eve party crackers. I'm not letting them get the upper hand. They have numbers. you gotta strategize for those. Anyways, does not seem fun. Seems like a terrible gimmick, and they're kind of framing it like Alexia's like weird for me. Like, I don't know. I don't think I like birds. Like, no, you're normal. That's normal. Yeah. That's the normal reaction to that situation. That sounds terrible.
And Julia as well. I noticed that she avoided that situation, and she has like tons of birds and animals in her house. So, she knows that she's not going to fuck with that.
Yeah, the witch warned her about that.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, I mean, other than that and the witchcraft stuff, which was really cool, and just an interesting insight into like the spiritual beliefs that they might have, which added a bit of depth to everybody's character, especially Alexia, who seems to really take that to heart. Other than that, relatively peaceable episode of Miami with a promise that it'll change next time.
Yeah, and Nicole kind of gave it a bit of a kiss of death in her confessional when she said that everything is going well so far, like right before a dinner where shit usually hits the fans.
It is to be continued, right? So.
It is to be continued.
Yeah.
So that also covered pretty much all of my highlights. The only other thing that I had on my list was the hotel tour. I really appreciated having a Lenny counter on the screen. I wish I would have known that this was going to happen, so I could have been taking shots along with everyone. But
they just didn't think of you.
Yeah. And Julia and Adriana, I thought, really shined during the hotel tour, especially when they got to see the movie theater, and they were like, "Oh, what movie should we watch tonight?" And Julia was like, "Oh, Rocky Horror Picture Show." And then Adriana's like, "I don't do horror movies," which I don't know if this actually qualifies as a horror movie.
No,
I'll leave that up.
She just heard the word horror and reacted that way. It was great. I think we just ended the scene there. That's perfect. I loved it.
I like it. That's the fascinating part to me about these people is like they're just only involved in their own small world to the point where they don't know popular culture, which is amazing.
Yeah, they're truly existing on like a separate planet. Okay, so up next this week we had Real Housewives of New Jersey, episode 2. We'll start again with Chad to get his impressions and highlights.
Okay, so this one, okay. This one was, I thought this one was a lot more fun to watch in terms of like, oh, here's the trash that I was expecting.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I watched Miami first. There's the friendship breakup, like right at the beginning of the episode. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
And then I thought there was a nice little, what was her name? Jennifer's kids? when her daughter, it cut just a quick scene of her daughter saying, my perfect little nose, which is all natural, and the way she turns.
Jennifer's daughter's a superstar.
Yeah. Like shading Jennifer, but also like her dad, who is a plastic surgeon.
So good.
That's right. Like, I didn't think about that, but yeah.
Those noses built that massive house you live in.
I also, the highlight for me from this one, which I was that there were more of the husbands in New Jersey. It seemed, maybe it's just the episode of Miami. There was, because they all went on a trip together and no husbands. But I did like that the husbands were around. Maybe it's because they're from New Jersey, and I just love the way they all talk and how they all like they really just found all the people that you would expect to see if you went to New Jersey and put them on TV. You know,
you don't have to look far. You could just go into a random pub and you would find those people.
But yeah, the husbands are like stars of the show as much as the housewives on New Jersey, and this episode was even like pretty light on the husbands.
I was gonna say this is a relatively light on the husbands episode compared to other episodes in New Jersey. Unfortunately, but yeah, you're right. They are.
But they introduced a new husband on this, Mozzarella.
What was I? Yeah, this one was a little more tough for me, also because I had to watch it while I was like doing other things, just because everyone came home, so I was making supper and watching it at the same time. But I did. What was her name when they were sitting there talking about like, do you want to go out more? Do you like staying home?
Dolores and Paul.
Dolores and Paul. Yeah, I liked their like conversation in that scene. I don't know what it was. It was just like, this is like to an extent, these are all the things I talk with my wife about. Like, where I'm like, should we could stay home more, or like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I thought that was just kind of a nice little candid thing.
Yeah, it's interesting that you picked up on that in that scene, because I think that Dolores is a very emotionally intelligent housewife. Her and her ex-husband Frank Catania, they've got very like open communication, and they are very transparent about their emotions and have like a high emotional IQ, I think. So it's interesting to see this manifest in this new relationship.
Oh, this is a new relationship for her. Okay.
Yeah, we just met him in episode 1
at all, I think, right? There was no Frank in this one.
No, they talked about him a little bit, but he didn't make an appearance.
Yeah.
Okay.
To its detriment, because as I've said last time, Frank is my favorite character in the show.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Now I think I might have to go back and get all the stories for this one as well. Craig and Dylan.
And that's actually going to be like fairly hard to do, because New Jersey is a very mature franchise. I think this is season 13 or something like that.
13.
And there's a lot of family and just long-standing drama. So it's something that is hard to pick up. You kind of have to pick it up as you go, unless you're planning on doing like a full-blown rewatch, which I would recommend because it's great.
So 13 seasons, that's like, wow, okay.
A year of your life.
I could do it. I could do it. Where was I here? This wasn't necessarily a highlight, but it was I laughed out loud, was right before who the woman who I presume is a new-ish housewife on the show went over to Jennifer's house, and it was storming, and then the kid goes, "Where is my Bible?" in regards to the storm.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny too.
And then in the next scene, when that woman, what was her name, with the kids, Valentina and Dominique.
Oh, yeah, Danielle.
Danielle,
her kids, right?
Is she new Is she new to the show?
Yeah, she's new.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, she was hilarious, and just the kids, the names. I'm like, oh yeah, those are New Jersey folks for sure. Valentina, what a name! What a name! And the last thing I wanted to say, this one was there's so much going on in it, and for me to really, I feel like it was easier for me to follow along with Miami compared to this one. Maybe because it was just an easier episode. Like with this one, I was constantly finding myself like, what's the backstory between these women?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's very dense.
But young John Fuda looked like a huge douchebag when they showed pictures of him. Is that his name, John Fuda?
Oh yeah, that's Rachel's husband, right?
Yeah, Rachel's husband.
Oh, okay.
Rachel Fuda, that's her name. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they showed him, like his pictures, and they were talking about how they met and everything, and she showed a picture of him as a young guy. I was like, oh, he looks like the kind of guy that didn't take no for an answer.
Yeah, former pizza place owner or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
He looked very different in his old photos compared to his appearance on screen, at least when he made his initial appearance last week.
Oh, so he's new to the show too. Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's a new housewife as well. So actually, one of the questions I was going to ask you was, who would you think would be a new housewife? You picked up on Danielle, and yeah, Rachel is the other one.
Okay, yeah, I didn't pick up on Rachel being new. But yeah, I actually appreciated that backstory too, where they talked about how they met and how he had a kid already, and I thought that was kind of a nice little touch with like the son, and then but then at the same time I'm like, oh, these are rich people, because it's like, how many phones did you break this year? 5.
Yeah, your fifth phone.
How do you do that?
If I break a phone, I'm riding it out till it doesn't work anymore.
Oh yeah, you should see my screen right now. Jesus Christ!
How do you buy 5? Presumably iPhone as well, because they're rich kids. 5 iPhones in a year. That's insane. Those are my highlights for sure. Yeah, I think that's it. I did. Yeah, the biggest thing for me was the husbands, seeing the husbands more. I guess I'll have to go watch some more to get the backstory on their husbands.
Dylan, how about you? What were your highlights?
Just off the top, I want to point out that I think that Danielle's son Dominic fucking nailed that joke off the top about pretending to have a British accent, where the punchline is just saying "motherfucker." He killed that. I loved it. I thought his timing, his delivery was so on point. Props, Dominic. He did great. But my highlight is just everything about the mozzarella making, or the mozzarella making, because I really want to highlight how beautiful Danielle's New Jersey pronunciation of the word is when she says mozzarella. A couple of them you drop the final vowel at the end, which is the New Jersey way of saying Italian words. Some of them say mozzarella like chumps. But Danielle especially has that great New Jersey pronunciation of mozzarella, really great. It's kind of like how they say gabagool for capicola. Made famous by The Sopranos. There's like a whole body of literature on the way that people in New Jersey say Italian words. Mostly because people from New Jersey are families that are from the south of Italy that mostly came before the Italian unification, before there was a standard Italian language, and and I think it's a lovely thing, and I love to see that. I love to see that unique pronunciation happening. And
that's interesting. I didn't know that. About all the old families in New Jersey.
Yeah. That's why, or if they'll say prosciutto, prosciutto and stuff like that. It's a very unique way of pronouncing words, even if the people don't speak Italian themselves. There's a specific way that you pronounce traditionally Italian words, which is almost all food words or swears for Jersey families. You get a bit of that in The Sopranos, right? But to see it organically in the wild is a lovely thing. I really like that. And I was just so excited that they were going to make mozzarella. because I love seeing people make mozzarella. I love seeing people manipulate food. I'm a huge junkie for like Chef's Table for that reason. I don't know if you guys watch Chef's Table, but there's just like, for me, an average episode of Chef's Table is like a B- documentary with A+ food porn. Tons of shots, like slow motion, high definition shots of hands manipulating ingredients, and it's so exciting for me. It's like erotically charged. It's sensual. It's amazing. So they recently did like the most recent episode or series they did on Chef's Table was on pizzas. They did Chef's Table's pizzas, and that was the best one yet. For like food porn, because you have people like manipulating dough, squishing tomatoes to make sauce with their bare hands, and of course you have people making mozzarella. And seeing people make mozzarella, I thought was just amazing. Like it's just like a beautiful, sensual thing to do. So when I found out that's what Danielle was going to have them doing, I was like, this is amazing. I'm going to be the freak that finds this hot. And then they all do.
Yeah. The editors had your back and the girls had your back.
I felt so validated.
It was like such a horny edit. As soon as like the girls started like responding to it, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then the editors just like went, 10 out of 10, drive up the horniness on this.
I understand 100%. Edit. Everybody except for Dolores, right? Because Dolores was in there like fucking mopey, stern, dead set on starting a fight. Oh, so she was so determined. Pissed, yeah. She was so determined to just not have any fun whatsoever. So she was like, all her horny receptors were turned off while everybody else's were turned right on. And I love to just have the little clip while everybody's getting turned on where she says, bunch of sick fucks getting turned on by cheese.
Yeah, Dolores was like ready to hate fuck.
Oh yeah. But she was wrong. Everybody else was right. Making mozzarella is sexy and incredible. It's too bad they had gloves on. Of course they do for like sanitary reasons, but it's too bad they have black gloves on. It's better when it's naked hands. I guess maybe that's like the BDSM of making mozzarella when you have black stretchy plastic gloves on. I don't know. I do kind of feel bad for Giacomo, who's like just at the center of all this. The guy who's making the mozzarella, right? Who just kind of has to be like a caged animal in between all of them. But great scene. That was definitely the highlight. And then it was too bad it had to get ruined by just like Jennifer getting fucking torn into by Margaret, who then like taps in Dolores to finish off the job. Like just tags out, and then just like Dolores, who's just been like fuming, sitting there like an enforcer who's been glued to the bench all game long, and in the final minutes of the losing match gets the tap on the shoulder from the coach and just leaps over the boards like, all right, just fucking comes out swinging to just polish her off.
She was like so riled up. I was surprised that it was Margaret that was the first to like talk to Jen, because before Jen even arrived, she told Teresa, stop sticking up for this cunt. I'm going to smash her fucking face in.
They went in on Jennifer so fucking hard. Oh my God. I felt bad for her, especially if because Margaret implies that she might be stoned. I don't know if that was true or not, but if she was stoned, first of all, a great idea to get stoned before you're going to manipulate mozzarella. That sounds amazing. And how much more horrible would it have been for her to have these two hard asses just fucking incessantly ripping into her while she's high and just wanted to play with cheese. Sounds awful. Worst day ever. Jesus Christ.
It's weird to think of people like that smoking weed, Yeah. Just doesn't seem like a thing they would do. People who are so into themselves, and worried about beauty.
Well, Jen and Bill, they love to party. So we got a preview of the upcoming season. They are getting blackout drunk again at some point. This has been a reoccurring season. Our thing, since they joined. At least once a season, we'll see like Bill being carried by the rest of the husbands because he just got like too wasted, or Jennifer collapsed on the ground. So really looking forward to that. Not surprised that she might be greening out a little bit in some of those scenes, and we just didn't realize it.
Oh yeah, that's a that okay. Now I gotta start this show from the beginning. I'm going to full 13. I'm going to full 13.
I would say one of the things that I really appreciate about Housewives, if you do happen to get into it, is that these characters, they evolve in some ways quickly, but in some ways really slowly and subtly, and they also oscillate between being someone that you root for and someone that you root against, which is something I don't think you can see on in a lot of other narrative forms of television. Mm-hmm. This is a pretty unique way of storytelling because these people are still people, and no matter how constructed the situations that you put them in, they still are humans that respond as human in nuanced ways. They're thinking about their reputations. They've got backstories, like actual backstories that inform their decision making, and there's no way that you could write a fictional character that has that same nuance.
Yeah, and I think that's just like, if you think about it, like, it makes sense that sometimes you root for them, sometimes you don't. Because like, if I think about if someone was watching my life, there's probably definitely be points in the 5th season of Chad Anderson where well, maybe not the 5th, maybe in the 16th season of Chad Anderson where people are going to be like, this guy is a piece of shit, you know. But people can change. Anyway, that's
and sometimes they're too stubborn to change too when they really should.
And sometimes you'll feel like the producers are trying to force a they have changed message on them, and the people themselves just will like go against the current too much to make it stick. And that's also the beauty of it too, is just like, for me, just the tension between like what you feel the show wants them to do, and there's like the pathways they want to guide people along, and the character's awareness of that, and awareness of the audience's expectations, as well as how they appear to their friends and the people around them and their co-cast members. But then the impulses of like the actual person kind of in conflict or pushing and pulling with and against these different expectations for them that are both like diegetic, like enforced by the show on them, and that are like enforced just socially by the people around them at the same time. I find that like a really complex way to try to like interrogate the idea of what a person is. That just adds to the pleasure of following the characters for multiple seasons and seeing how they navigate that.
Which characters are like original cast members?
So on this cast, the only one that is an OG, so they call like original Housewives OGs. The only one on this cast is Teresa Giudice.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Well, I think it would be. Yeah, I gotta start. Because I want to see like the evolution of like the first season where they all know they're all new to being on TV, compared to how. Like, were they pretty awkward in the first season with having cameras? Or are they just such egomaniacs that, like, right from the beginning, they were like, yeah, who cares? The camera's here. And maybe even playing it up a little more than they do now. I think
it's pretty interesting because whenever there's, like, new housewives that are introduced in their first season, they clearly don't have a full idea of what it's going to be like. So you do get like glimpses of that, but whenever you start a franchise from season 1, you you really get a sense of like a show that's finding itself. And I feel like New Jersey has always had a pretty like defined vision that kind of sets it apart from other franchises. Like New Jersey has always had an element of like family drama that is not as present in other franchises. A lot of other franchises have, the conflict is between the housewives and they're not related. But we touched on this last week. The thing with New Jersey is, there's actual like blood relationships and like very deep back stories there that you can't really you can't completely eradicate someone out of your life, and there's repercussions for your actions that are going to ripple off camera in ways that don't happen in other franchises.
Okay, so New Jersey seems like the place to start.
I mean, all of the franchises I think have very different, like, they have different perspectives, different different mission statements, I guess. And so New Jersey is like a decent place to start. They're all very different. I would say you could pretty much start anywhere and have a good time.
What's the original? What city is the original?
Real Housewives of Orange County.
Okay.
Okay. Dylan, did you have any other highlights you wanted to go over?
Not really. I mostly just like, love the mozzarella thing. And then we haven't really mentioned that there was that whole like thing about some people like getting information on Margaret, and then Margaret getting information from a friend that another friend was snitching on her, and there was like just such like spycraft and like counter espionage. It got like very John le Carré for a moment there. It was very spy versus spy stuff.
Yeah, there's a mole in Team Jennifer's camp.
Yeah, it felt like a Cold War drama for a second there.
Any speculation on who the mole on Team Jennifer could be?
Danielle.
That was my guess as well.
Oh,
I
really?
thought it might be Danielle.
Yeah. I could see that. Danielle did say, didn't she tell Jennifer that she was getting along with her really well?
Yeah.
But I guess that could have been putting up a facade. Yeah. Interesting.
I just felt like the way when they were on the group call in Jennifer's house, in that scene when they were on they were on the call with whoever else it was.
Teresa. Yeah.
Teresa, yeah. It seemed like Danielle had this look like, I can't wait to tell someone about this. That's the vibe I got.
They were reluctant to like share any additional information in front of her. I think, she's a new housewife, so they are, they've got every reason to be a bit cagey around her, but I don't know who else it could be because, like, frankly, there's not a lot of people that are actually on Team Jennifer. So there's like Teresa, and that's kind of about it.
Interesting. What if it was Teresa? Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's I would say that is not impossible, but pretty unlikely. I think one of the things about this that stood out to me was I thought Jennifer had a really good read when she was like, if the tables were turned, would Margaret be listening to this? And absolutely she would. Yeah. I thought that was like a spot on read because of course she would. Margaret is a pro. Jennifer is this is her third season, so she's kind of just stepping into like the veteran's role of a housewife. She's got an idea of how things work, and this seemed to be a point where she seems like she has arrived. Like, she knows the game and how to play it now. And I just thought this was like a veteran read from her.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I did also kind of want to point out that I liked the scene of Paul kind of talking to Dolores and pretty skillfully, I thought, navigating potential challenges with Frank that we might see heading up, where he's sounding like somewhat jealous, but mostly like sounding a note of like sensitivity and like trying to be like open to everybody's opinion, and ending by saying like, but I got you now and stuff. And I thought that was a nice like setup for maybe a potential conflict. I think Paul like was playing his role well there. He was like not being too outwardly critical and not looking to butt heads. And I thought that was an interesting setup for whatever we might see in the future, because again, Frank isn't even in this episode at all. But
yeah, I think like I am like you, Dylan. I love Frank. He's one of my favorite characters on this. So going in, I was loaded with some bias towards Paul, knowing that there was going to be a conflict here. This was a lot more skillful, like social navigation than I was anticipating from him, and I agree. I think he handled this really well, and it seemed earnest.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's to come. I do want to point out a couple of my favorite quotes. Danielle says to Giacomo and the mozzarella makers, "You guys are going to sweat like prostitutes in church today." That's good. Really good line from Danielle. Again, another strong showing from the rookie. I think Dolores said at one point, "I don't have time for this. What am I, a forensic accountant?" I literally don't know what the fuck she meant by that. Like, that's just so obscure to me. I do not know what she's talking about. So I love it. It's wonderful. Yeah, those were some hits for me. That and Dominic's amazing joke delivery. Those are my quotes for this episode.
In terms of my highlights, the thing that standed out to me, first off, I thought Jennifer Aiden had a really fantastic performance here. I think she showed like I mentioned before, a mature housewife's perspective when she was showing her thought process behind listening to Margaret's friends' intel. I also thought the chaos that she caused at the mozzarella party was excellent. She knew that she had Dolores pissed at her and was just really able to trigger it by saying, "I don't have issues with Dolores. She has issues with me," which like really set Dolores off.
Yeah.
She got into it with Margaret, and she low-key started a fight with Teresa and Melissa by bringing up the seating arrangements at the wedding, which she had to have known was a sore spot and would start something, and she just really organically,
it was a deflection.
Yeah,
it was a bit of the heat off her.
It was a very like skillful deflection, and she was able to
judo shit. Yeah.
Yeah. It was pure housewife judo.
Yeah.
You guys, I wasn't watching with this kind of lens that you guys are watching. Like they're players in a game.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they absolutely
are.
It is chess. Another thing that
3D chess.
Yeah.
That's Star Trek shit. Yeah.
Another thing that I really enjoyed was we got to see Teresa's wedding invite fiasco play out. So Teresa sent out invites to her wedding, which it didn't even really occur to me that this was like a wedding season of Housewives, which normally is something that can sometimes dominate a storyline and make for a dull season. But there's enough going on in New Jersey where it didn't even register to me that this was a thing. But she sends out wedding invites. It's 67 days before her wedding, which seems like very late to be sending out invites. And then Ramona Singer on social media did an Instagram story and was showing the invite that Teresa sent out and ended up like doxing the wedding. All the details on the invite were made public. And so Teresa, I guess, had to reschedule a bunch of shit for her wedding and send out new invites asking people not to post the details so that all the fans, because combined these housewives, individually they've got millions of followers. Like combined, there's so many people that
Craig would have crashed that wedding.
Yeah, so I had to reschedule my flights, and it was just a big ordeal. But it was nice to see that reflected on the episode. But it was also really interesting to me to see that kind of play out side by side with what we saw of Melissa this episode, which was not a lot. It was just her and Joe Gorga just kind of being butthurt about the seating arrangements or whatever. And it really highlighted to me how much Melissa needs Teresa way more than Teresa needs Melissa on this show. Everything is about Teresa for Melissa. That's really her only storyline. And like even bringing sprinkle cookies to Margaret's place, which is a callback to early seasons of Real Housewives of New Jersey's, where there was a conflict where Teresa threw out Melissa's sprinkle cookies that she brought over for Christmas. She's just really grasping on to this, and Teresa barely seems to even realize that they are fighting. She's talking about how great of a time she had in LA at this thing with Melissa and how it was good. And so that about covers all of the highlights that I had for New Jersey. Any final thoughts from either of you guys?
Okay. Final thoughts was it was far more exciting. At times a little bit hard to, again, just comprehend the backstories and where the fights are coming from and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot more fun to watch. I think I enjoyed New Jersey more than Miami.
Yeah, I think we got like two contrasting episodes from these. One that had a lot of deep-rooted issues that kind of came to the surface. They didn't really resolve anything, but it required a lot more context in New Jersey. Whereas Miami, like Dylan said, it was a bit of a palate cleanser, but we did get to see a lot of the housewives' personalities shine through, and really excellent presentation for Miami. It was a really good contrast between two franchises to get a sort of point and counterpoint on what Housewives is. Dylan, any final thoughts on either from you?
Yeah, not really. But New Jersey. I'm just excited to see them bring Frank back and see if any sparks fly between him and Paul, and for like Joe and Teresa, that like conflict that you're talking about a minute ago. I'm interested to see where that goes, because it's the family connection is such an important thing in these episodes that it adds a lot of depth to it. So we'll see where it goes, and of course for Miami. Just can't wait to see what Marisol does. And it just shows like how much, even though she's not like an official housewife for some reason on that show, like how much they're relying on her to be the ignition that they needed to toss her in there and to presumably make something explode. And
we'll she's the ball bearing and the spray paint.
Yeah, there you go. So let's see what lewd drawings she sprays on the wall next episode.
So before we wrap, I wanted to get everyone's pick for their all-star of the week, all-star housewife or friend of or background character. Chad, Who was your favorite?
My favorite was, probably Julia. Just because the going in to the Botanica and like not really knowing what she's doing but still doing it, and then like pissing people off with it, and then just the screaming, "What is DP?" I just think yeah, she was just the most entertaining in terms of like just someone you're like, how are you so clueless on so many things in a short amount of time? Yeah.
Yeah, it was an excellent showing for Julia this week. Dylan, how about you?
Yeah. Good work for Julia for sure. And she also got a little bit of our sympathies too, because she's still working on adoption, and she had a little bit of a heart to heart there with Gertie talking about her adoption. So she came through in a lot of levels. So I would. I would maybe have to give it to Julia as well, either her or the lady running the Botanica, who started the whole thing, who's really behind the mastermind behind all this witchcraft.
The real witch.
Yeah, the real witch.
Real witch of Miami.
No, I was going to say, if we were going to do New Jersey too, I would, like you mentioned, it was a strong showing for Jennifer with her back against the wall in a lot of respects, still showing some skill and shining through and winning some sympathies, despite being under attack throughout basically the whole episode. And either her or Danielle for doing the whole Mozzarella thing, which was just an amazing idea.
Yeah, I ended up going with Jen as well. I think that she's doing so much right now. I thought that picking a fight with Dolores, or being like really gung-ho to fight with Dolores, is maybe a strategic misstep for her. I think that Dolores could have easily been a number for her side, but the fight is proving to be really engaging, and I'm loving seeing her navigate it, and I thought this was just an excellent episode.
Also, just because we haven't mentioned her, shout out to other Jen too, Jen Fessler.
Oh yes,
who just spends the whole party just talking about how she's Jewish, and then like nervously, angrily eating.
Yeah, aggressively eating
while everybody's fighting, just with a like terror in her eyes, shoving food in her face. Good stuff.
It is very squirrel-like at times, and really excellent to watch. Yeah. I would say if you're looking for an Instagram account to follow, there's an Instagram account called Drunk Drawn, which he does excellent illustrations of all sorts of housewives, and she was featured on his post just today. It's very excellent, so I would say check that out.
I'll look it up.
What is it?
It's called Drunk Drawn.
Drunk Drawn.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out. So that wraps up the Bravo Outsider for today. Thank you very much, Chad, for joining us. Where can people find you?
Thank you for having me. First of all, you can find me at chadanderson.net, actually. Wow, I almost forgot that I have a website now. And I have an album out on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music called Chad Anderson Live at Wee Johnny's. And follow me on Instagram at Chad Illmatic. And I think that's about it. I should have some, depending on when you're listening to this episode, I might have a clip out on CBC Gem from the Winnipeg Comedy Festival. Watch out for that. It should be coming out soon as well.
Awesome. And Dylan, how about you? Where can people find you?
You can find me talking about horror movies with special guests on my podcast, Mind Over Splatter. You can find me on Substack. Look for Dylan Ferguson. I just put a new piece up there, which is why Infinity Pool gets right what the Menu, Glass Onion, and Triangle of Sadness get wrong. So I talk about movies on there. Or you can find me at the Botanica La Luz del Dia at Pico Union, where I will be fixing my future and hexing everybody who crosses me.
Well, we are also visiting the online Botanica to exercise some of the GeoCities out of our website, but you can check it out at bravooutsider.com. We've got links to subscribe on all the major podcast platforms, and we're on Instagram at Bravo Outsider. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next week.
See ya, brujos. I feel like if you're a man, you should be a brujo. I don't know if that's Spanish or not.